Hey, Facebook fans, it's Kevin. Happy Saturday, guys. Also, happy Mother's Day weekend. And Mom, if you're watching this, love you lots. And I will make sure I'll try to get that order of wine I sent you from California to you, like whenever it gets sent.
Good
But yeah,
choice.
good choice. It's called La Fantasia. The wine is like, mm, that's like heaven's nectar.
Impressive.
We go right into wine, like just talking about it right away.
Cheers to her. Cheers to her. She'll enjoy
cheers to
that.
cheers to her. Well, shout out to all the hardworking moms these days. It's like kudos to you guys for raising us.
Absolutely.
And but yeah, guys, this is my friend Allison, and we've been friends for like what'd you say, 1 year, 2 years?
I think technically since the IACP conference 2019 is where I met you. And this is
Ah,
not our first interview together, which just makes it even more fun.
exactly. And guys, if you haven't watched that first interview was about dog reactivity, and that was a really good one. And I've sent it to several clients, and everybody loved it. And then I texted Allison like several days later, being like, that interview was awesome, and a lot of people appreciated that. So
Yeah, that was thorough. We got some good information in there with some great feedback. So looking forward to tonight's.
yeah, and for tonight's topic, we're going to talk about crate training because, well, Allison, you're the one that brought up the topic. So, what made you decide to talk about crate training?
Crate training is a hot topic, but I think it's essential, and especially with the time period that we are in now, with these quote unquote pandemic puppies, and with people slowly kind of going back to real life. I'm seeing an influx of puppies and other dogs who could, really benefit from the use of crate training, and that seems to have been a real lack. Um, in the past year, just simply due to the fact that people are home and spending more time with their dogs.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I love the crate. The crate is such a nice. It's just like a nice thing to have, and then it's also just a nice training tool in general, just because it's like, um, especially when you first get the puppy. I'm trying to just limit how much access the puppy gets, and then also too, it's like if I'm busy in the kitchen cooking something, and then the puppy's like upstairs or going across the room or the other side of the house, either pooping or peeing or like
Too much freedom.
too much freedom, right? And so it just helps me restrict the freedom, and also just helps me contain the puppy when I'm not supervising, which is such a nice, um, just a nice tool. And people are just like, so I mean, they most people come off of that. I think like certain like I meet a lot of families and things like that. They actually still call it like cage instead of crate, and I'm like, just give it like that negative.
Connotation.
Yes, that's the word. I can't. I my It was 85 degrees today, guys, so it's like my head's a little fried. So, um, but yeah, connotation. Just that negative part, and it's just like, no, it doesn't have to be that way. You know, if you're
Well,
treating it, yeah, go ahead.
it's very well. You can just keep it very simple too. If you just make it part of your routine, um, that's the way that I try to introduce it too. Um, it just becomes a normal part of every day.
Mm-hmm.
Spending time with them, but also teaching them to be independent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, also too, it's like, I mean, I crate train dogs like from puppies, like 10 weeks, like 8 weeks, whenever I get them, and I'll simply start just by feeding them in the crate and just going in there. And by 3 weeks, my roommate's pit bull Apple, when she was like this small of a pit bull puppy, like I have video of her back in like a few years ago, and she'll run in her crate like with so much finesse, and she'll just turn around waiting for her food, like, I'm ready.
One of my dogs does that too, and it's one of the best things ever.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, just the simplest thing like that. Like before, back then when I was doing boarding trains at the house, and some of them, or just boarding in general, like some of them weren't really crate trained, but after having the dog for like a week or 2 weeks, I get their food ready with my dogs, and I turn around. Those dogs are just racing to be in their crate, and they're just like so ready. And
Absolutely.
and you're right. It's a routine. It's not always like, okay, you're in the crate because you were, a butthead. You go in there just to like have some have some you time, or just like when I need a break, or just like also too just like to get your food
To help them settle.
to help them settle. Yeah, and then especially it's like um, with puppies and dogs. Dogs need like 15 hours and of sleep instead of compared to our 7 hours of sleep, and so it's just some dogs just can't handle all that freedom, and they just get restless, or they're just walking up and down. Where's the crate? They can just learn to self-soothe, and then like just learn to be absolutely bored. And of course it's like I could like everything they get, like raw bone or like bully sticks or just like any of their favorite chews,
High
they're going
value
in.
things.
Yeah, they get all their good crap in the crate. And then also too is like if you have multiple dogs, and if you're worried that when you kind of worry that your dogs are gonna get into it, I just have everyone in their designated crates, and then they feel okay, cool. No one's gonna get in to this crate to take my bone or toy. So it's just also just I wanted to resemble like safe place, or just like
That's their
uh,
space. That's their
familiar.
that's their den.
Yeah, they're then and they're familiar spots, and that's really good because especially when people are going to go back to traveling again, like after COVID, um, because if you're trying to take your dog to like a hotel or Airbnb, you have to. They're going to ask you to have your dogs crated, or you can't leave them in that at the house, and especially as like if you have like housekeepers that come in and then you don't coordinate right. If your dog has an issue with people, your dog's gonna one scare the crap out of the house cleaning lady. Two, the lady could like accidentally let the dog out, and then you have so much trouble. That, and also too, especially if the dog like pees on the bed or chews something in the hotel or Airbnb, like you're paying like damage deposit, or you're not gonna get your deposit back, which is like never fun. Like
Hmm.
dogs are expensive as they are already. So
Good point.
I for me, I'm like, I love my dogs. My dogs are awesome. Good left alone, but just in case, I'd rather not pay an extra 500. I want that $500 deposit back.
Yeah, just in case, and like just like you said, travel. I even crate my dogs in the car,
Yeah.
because my dogs are constantly in the car with me,
Hmm.
because they help me out with private sessions, and we drive quite a bit every day. But
Yeah.
also, God forbid, your dog does have to go to the vet in case of emergency or is being treated medically. They're going to be contained somehow. So if we can take that stress away from them, it would just make their lives a lot more functional and easier for them too. Um,
Yeah.
but what I wanted to ask you was, um, before I wanted to ask you a few questions regarding crate training, but for my pet owners who I work with, who might not be as familiar with you, would you give a little intro to my followers just so they can know who you are, other than we go way back,
So the interviewer has become the interviewee. I like how
right? Turn the
I like that
tables.
twist. I like that twist. You got. I didn't think about that, but
It goes
okay, all right.
both ways, right?
Of course, same thing with dog training. Communication goes both ways, so I like that.
Hmm.
Keeping me on my toes. All right, all right. So for Allison's clients and Allison's followers, I'm Kevin Lee, and I am based out of Santa Rosa, Northern California, and wine country. So if anyone wants to visit me, we got some good wine over here. And my business is Canine Freedom, and I do a lot of group classes, off-leash dog socials, private lessons, where I come to the house and work with behavior mod, or just basic puppy training or basic obedience. And definitely I talk about to a lot of my clients about the benefits of crate training, So
Especially since you work with a ton of puppies.
oh, yeah, especially everybody's just gonna is like booked up with puppies, with this COVID thing, just like, oh, we're gonna get the dog. And that's the other thing too,
I
is like,
did. I got another COVID dog. I fell victim to that. I got a third dog. Did I need one? No. Did it work out? Yeah.
yeah, I will, but I mean, it's like Jet, like he's so cute though. Like
He is so damn cute. He's
except when he decides to jump in
yeah,
alligator waters.
he's wild. We've been doing a lot more e-collar training in the yard, so that's no longer happening.
He's so cute. I had a trainer. There's like a training place that my friend goes to in Sacramento. That's like 2 hours from here, and she does like barn hunting and urban uh, locating. And I was just like, my pit bull dachshund mix, Charlie here. He helps me find the rats in my garage, but
Oh, I
it's like,
bet he does.
but I'm like, he'd be so good at it. So it's like I'll be following your footsteps.
We
You
just
know, with
started barn hunt a few weeks ago, and my dogs are so into it. It is definitely one of our new favorite things. I didn't expect my Malinois to be so into it, but she absolutely loves it. My Pit does it too. He's given it a few goes, so all my dogs enjoy it, and I think as long as your dogs enjoy it, you will definitely get into it.
it's so much fun. Like knowing him and his project, like he caught a gopher and
Oh
brought it
wow,
to me. He brought it to my house, and I'm like, lovely. And I'm like,
just what
I'm
I wanted. Thank you
I'm
so
like,
much.
I'm like, oh, perfect. This is a 2 month early birthday gift. I'm like, sweet. And but no, I think that would be really fun for him. I also want to look around and see who does like lure coursing or fast cat for my dogs. I think that'd be fun.
Absolutely.
But
Well, yeah, you like you said, you're in wine country. You have way more space than we do. But I just bought a lure course. This is another shameless plug for Swift Paws. I haven't fully set it up yet, but it's small enough that you could set it up in a good backyard. So that might be
ooh,
something you want to look into.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. After we talk, definitely send me that. I'm definitely interested. But
Absolutely.
but yeah, going back to crate training, I mean, it's just it's kind of real. I think it's pretty much a requirement. I mean, it's just like if you want to have your ideal dog, or if you want to have, you know, a dog that knows structure, because like I hear trainers all the time. I mean, I do it now. Like if I get a puppy, I'm gonna limit how much freedom it gets, and I really want to just start off having the dog, or whether it's an adult dog or a puppy, just like not give it as much freedom until I know that the dog knows what to do and respects the rules. If like understands
Well,
nothing. Yeah.
for those puppy owners who struggle a little bit more, so typically what we hear is, oh, our dogs are mouthing, they're biting, they're going crazy. And what the trainers hear is, oh, we have an overstimulated, overtired puppy.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, dogs need like 17 hours of sleep a day, way more than what we do, and especially puppies. They need way more frequent breaks. So I think puppy owners struggle because A, the puppy's cute,
Mm-hmm.
B, they're home, but they're also just not recognizing when the dog does need a break.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and before the pandemic hit, the dogs were forced to take a break because people were not working out of their homes. They were going to the office, or they did have their regular routines outside the house. So guess what? The dogs had that alone time. Crate or not, they were used to spending time away from their humans. And now we're getting these influx of dogs and puppies who've never been away from their humans, and it's causing problems.
Yep. Yep. It's kind of like summer vacation via whole year. It's just like they're so, especially those dogs that are just like, oh, the normal is mom never leaves the house, parents never leave the house, and then as soon as they leave, they're like, oh my god, what is happening? Like,
I've never seen this picture before. What do I do?
right? And I even tell people, like, at this point with COVID, when you have an adult dog or like a puppy, I tell them, make them prepared. Let them be prepared that you are gonna leave the house, whether you have to go drive through like at a McDonald's or something, or if you want to go just like pick up groceries, that's like 30 minutes, or even just like eat lunch like outside your house, like in your car. Just like get them used to the routine that okay, like you leaving is part of the routine, because a lot of people just kind of just like, okay, let's see what happens if I leave him, kind of
Right.
thing. So it's
Set them up for success versus letting them decide for their own.
right. Yeah, because I mean, it's like if I have the dog for like a year, but then after the year I decide to leave like once a week, then I make it an event versus like a routine, right? So, and also too is just like when I'm at like when I leave the dog at home, when people say, "Oh yeah, I'll leave my puppy at home for like several hours," I'm like asking them, especially if they have kids of their own, like human kids. I'm like, let me ask you something. Would you leave your 8-year-old child unattended at home for several hours? And immediately they go, "Oh hell no!" And it's like, then don't. Then that's where you don't leave your puppy or your young dog like to have full range of the house. It's like almost even like maybe some 16-year-old kids just they're gonna have some house parties or something, but it's just like they're not ready for that response to be left alone, especially as like they can get into stuff like chew like wires or like I don't know, or like eat something they're not supposed to and just get in massive trouble, or like the owner just comes back like pissed off because they come back to this horror scene of like ripped ripped shoes
Destruction.
and destruction, toilet paper rolls like all over. Back when COVID is like toilet paper was treated like gold at that
Yeah.
like last year. It's just like, no, that was the last bag from Costco, and then just go like, oh, just like, well, it's like he told you, he told you he was bored. Um, but yeah, I mean the crate too. I think a lot of puppy owners ask me, like, should I put my puppy in the crate like when he's acting up? I'm like, no, don't want to use it as punishment, because otherwise your dog's gonna look at the crate and have a bad association to it. So I always just suggest to clients like just be proactive. Like if like there's always like that certain time of the day like the puppies get like extra energy or just they're just a little bit more overstimulated, and I kind of just tell people like if you're if you can predict when that puppy is starting to get restless, or if you can, or if the puppy's about to counter stuff but you're too busy cooking like a meal for like for five or for like for your family, I'm just like, hey, don't be reactive, be proactive. Like if you have to, give him a marrow bone, give him a bully stick in this crate, guide him in his crate, and let him enjoy that while you're doing your thing, or while you need a break from his mouthing or like whatever, just so it's like I'm associating with me guiding you in the crate, good things happen, and it's like, okay, cool. Instead of just like grab the puppy by the collar and throw him in and just like bad dog, like as a because like we said, I want the crate to be like safe haven, but something that they can go back to. Otherwise, if I just keep throwing the dog in the crate, more likely when it's adult, when it's like 70 pounds, I probably can't pull that dog into the crate and just be like, nope, like don't touch me. I don't want to go in that. You know?
Is there a type of crate that you prefer over another one?
Mm, I've so far just been happy with just the wire crates, but it's like I can see the airport crates being like more dark. So I think I'm good with either or whatever a client has.
Hmm.
And what do you prefer?
I like the hardcover um, crates. I so I guess now in pet stores they're calling them kennels
Hmm.
versus the wire crates that you're referring to. They actually call those crates. So I guess
Hmm.
I prefer kennels just because I find that dogs actually settle in those, but I've had some puppies actually get their paws and their toes stuck in the wire crates too. But you kind of want to make it cozy for them as well. And the den is supposed to be kind of dark and cozy. So even though they are a little bit more expensive, I find them to be worth it. So they're the same ones I have in my car.
Right.
My dogs have crates everywhere. There's crates in my office. There's crates in my car. There's crates on either side of me on my furniture. So to my dogs, the crates mean actually work. So when they go in their crates in the car, when we park and we get to wherever we're going, crate actually means freedom. And then they
Hmm.
get to rest after when we're done training. Um, Not only that, but I worry about getting into a car accident. And I have totaled my previous vehicle. My dogs were not in the car, but I don't know what I would have done if my dogs weren't in the car. So I risk absolutely nothing, and my dogs are crated every time we drive. And that's kind of my thing, absolutely for safety. But in Florida, we have hurricanes, and I
Mm.
have totally evacuated with 3 dogs the state of Florida. And life's just a lot easier when your dogs are crate trained. So, like you said about Airbnbs and hotels, a lot of them will ask if your dogs are crated. And for the dogs that can't deal with it, it just makes life that much more stressful for them because there's guarantee going to be a point where they just need to be contained for their safety, whether it's at the vet or the groomer or for whatever reason. ESAs are no longer recognized on flights, so your dog is pretty much going to have to be in a carrier or a real service dog, and that's going to bring out some stuff. So I think crate training is pretty much vital, especially for puppies, any age dog, or for dogs with separation anxiety, dogs who live in small areas. That crates they're essential. They're essential.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love having the crates, and I mean also too, it's just like once I know my dog's pretty good, like probably like a year or like 2 years, and my dog's like mature and he understands the concept. Like I get clients that ask me, will I be able to leave him home like without the crate eventually? It's like, yeah, after the dog knows, not to destroy your house and he's more mature and he knows the rules, then it's like, okay, sure. Like I want my clients, or I want to teach my clients to have their dogs prepared to be contained, even if it's like maybe once in a while they go out travel, but
Mm-hmm.
I want them to prepare for like real life scenario all the time, even this like I'll tell, like, I guess we can talk about just how we implement crate training, or what are some things that pen or like puppy owners or dog owners can be doing with their dogs to practice crating their dogs. Like there's a ton of video out there. I mean, my friend Jason Cohen has made,
Absolutely. Cheers
made
to
a
him.
video. Yeah, he hence his hat,
Absolutely.
sponsoring him. Um, and he has a lot of cool videos about crate games, and it's just like making that crate fun, and it's just like going in, going out, or just like even just randomly leaving. If let's say you only have one dog, right, compared to like having
A whole
5 dogs.
house full like we do.
Yes, where that can lead to some slight trouble if you don't manage it right. But like if you only have one dog in the house, I could just leave a little surprise, kind of like the tooth fairy, just like, oh, leave some treats, just leave some food in the back there, and they
Uh-huh.
go, oh, what's that? Or if I leave like their toy there, or if I leave a chew, is like, oh, okay. So they get used to going in and out, and even like my Belgian Malinois, she like it's so funny. Sometimes when I change in the morning, it's like 10 o'clock, and then she's like, "Okay, I'm going in my crate. It's time for me to go in the crate." And she just knows it's routine, and it's for her. She'll sleep in there like most of the time if she's not on my bed. To
Hmm.
be honest, it's like it's too hot on my bed sometimes, and so she just comes out, gets off the bed panting, and then she'll automatically like sleep like 5 more hours in the crate.
Good for
Um,
her.
but like I'll work a lot just like sending them in the crate. I'll just like work on whether it's crate, kennel, or load up or whatever works, and then just toss some food. But then also too, I just want to have them just work on just having them wait at the door, wait by the crate, and not bolt out when the door's still open. Just, it's like,
Basic
see,
manners. Yeah.
yeah, basic manners. Just like you can't coming out like a bull in a china shop. Just like, hey, relax, and then, out. But I won't feed. But I'll feed only when they're in there. If I say free or come out, they don't get anything. It's just like I want them to put the two and two together, where you go in, I pay, you come out, okay, nothing happens, right? But
Hmm.
even just sometimes just seeing some cool trainers, they'll just have they'll just have them in their crates opened, teach them not to come out, and they eventually just sleep, or just relax, just having the crates in there, and it's just a nice option to have it, and yeah, people just don't utilize it um, all the
Well,
time, which is a shame.
no, and dogs need downtime.
Yeah.
And I don't think people recognize that is that dogs need downtime, especially after a really good training session. With your dog, that's like prime time to create them, even if it's just 15, 20 minutes to let them kind of digest and settle.
Hmm.
And sometimes less is more too. So contrast is clarity. If you're working them really hard and they've been using their brain, put them away for a little bit, give them a nice break so that when they do come out, they're nice and relaxed and they've processed everything that you just showed them.
Yep.
Um, Especially in between classes, my dogs do a lot on Saturdays. I teach between 4 and 5 classes a day on Saturdays, and usually a lot of the time they're working too as demo dogs, or they're taking the class, and they need their breaks too, and that's their off time, and it just makes it very clear to them. So it's a very obviously very simple to implement. There's a lot of great trainers, like you said, that have a million different ways to make it super simple and fun for pet owners. You just have to kind of do it. Um,
Hmm.
but I had a puppy owner last week who, first time puppy owner, awesome lady. I really enjoy working with her. Super smart dog. It's a Cavapoo, too smart for her own good. And she was thoroughly against the crate. And I talked to her about it. I'm like, listen, hear me out. This is, we're going to have to do this at some point because I really care about your dog and the success of your dog. So we did a few lessons. We were working on a few other things. And she told me, Allison, my dog has no boundaries. And I was
No,
like,
really.
and I was like, well, because guess who was allowed to run around the house? Had complete freedom to do whatever she wanted all the time. Dog was not tethered or anything. She slept in bed with the lady, and this dog is 5 months old, 6 months old. Um, Never slept like one night in a crate. So we're working on it now. But she said, Allison, my dog has no boundaries. And I was like, well, and she kind of put it together. And then once we show the dog that going in, turning around, and just waiting, and that closing the door was no big deal, she really started to get it, and the dog started to self-soothe. Um, so it's good. It's quiet time for them too because they are dogs. And I think people forget that we're in this culture where we have social media and we've got like these videos on like the dodo and whatnot, which make a big fuss about how cute these animals are, but they're still animals. Um, and not that I like to put dogs in boxes because they're animals, but people forget that before people were home all the time, dogs had jobs back in the day, and that's why we have certain breeds to perform certain jobs. So when those dogs and those awesome breeds, like super active breeds, don't have certain jobs that they're fulfilling every day, they're going to start a business that you hate. So, giving them off time for the working dogs, um, and giving them time away from humans too for a job that they don't have, helps them. It helps them because they're pets, and we have to teach these pets how to function in a human world. So letting them have boundaries, I think, helps everybody. And I think that's kind of the big point that pet owners miss because they just see that we want to put them in a crate. And they're like, why do we want to put the dog in a crate? Because
Hmm.
that's why it helps them. Um, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but this is something near and dear to my heart. because I'm seeing this every day. Is people in Fort Lauderdale with these beautiful condos whose dogs are like flipping out because they can't deal being away from their humans, and it's like these dogs are going to be around for the next 10 years. I need to make their lives easier. So
Mm-hmm.
how can we help pet owners understand that when we say crate your dogs, we really want to help your dog, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Oh, there's so many memes out there. It's just like, oh, my dog does all this. And then one time I made a meme with like the SpongeBob be like imagination rainbow. I wrote instead, create your dog. And it was just so funny. It's like um but also too, I would say sometimes too, not just the dog getting a break from his human, sometimes it's just nice to have the option of putting your dog away and then giving yourself um
The human
a,
side of it.
the human side of it, right? Because especially with moms that have to feed the kids, have to take care of the kids when they're homeschool, and then they have the dog. It's just like it's a 24/7 job. So to put the dog away just to have him in the crate and chill out, like for me, like when I used to have boarding dogs and just like that, I'll just crate them if I need a nap and just be like,
Put
otherwise,
a
like
pause.
put a
Put a
pause, because
yeah.
otherwise, like I would close my eyes and then I'll hear like a disturbing chewing or peeing. I just open my eyes like, no, if I didn't have the option of the crate, and I would just be like, just be buzzy. I think also too, like when we talk about dogs being overtired, I kind of compare it to like one of us like 3 hours, 4 hours of sleep, and then we decide, oh, I think I'm gonna take a triple shot cappuccino from Starbucks, or I'm gonna drink a whole can of Red Bull to help myself, and you're just more like fidgety and just like
You're
haywire.
not getting good rest.
Yeah, yeah, not good. And of course, when you don't get enough rest, there's some your chemistry in your head doesn't really work, and you don't function properly. But yeah, I mean,
I liked what point you said earlier about dogs being able to distinguish too, about other dogs not being able to bother them. Because two of my dogs do that. They actually go. Sometimes they'll take their bones into their crates because they don't want to be bothered by the other dogs. So obviously they've learned that it's a resource and that they can do that and they feel safe there too. But especially in multi-dog households, it's nice to see them kind of utilize that that
yeah,
space as their own, where they won't be bothered.
no, absolutely. I mean, my Malinois, she will kick dogs out of that crate, and it was just like one time she like snapped at a dog for going in the crate. I'm just like, and any like new dogs or any of the dogs that go into the crate, I'm like, you might want to get out of there, buddy. It's like
That's
that's
her
her.
spot.
That's Mama Bear's cave right there. You don't want to go in the cave when she's sleeping, But yeah, no, it's just nice. It's going back to like multiple dogs. I mean, when you have puppies, like that's why I like having if you can have the option to buy multiple crates, like one in your bedroom and then one down in the living room, that's good. Because like if you're busy cooking or if you're busy just trying to chill out, and then you got a young puppy and you got like adult dogs or dogs already in the home, or like cats per se, you're not removing them physically. I mean, you're preventing them physically to go bother the kids, the dogs, and the cat, but they're still around them socially, right? So because this is the blueprint on how you're gonna behave when you're out of the crate. And a lot of people are just, it's just like, oh, I feel bad. My other dogs are walking around, and then the puppy's in here. It's like, no, don't feel bad. I mean, your dogs would probably need a break from the puppy too, because you kind of made them unofficial babysitters or
Eh,
nannies in that
right?
sense.
Voluntold them.
Yeah, involuntary, by the way, too, because they didn't just raise their paws, be like, I want to do it. They're like, why are we stuck with this one? Um, but just the opportunity to just socially be there, but mechanically or physically can't bother anyone is great, just because you're just teaching them to just learn to be chill in general. Like I said, I want to teach my dogs to be pumped and go do stuff, but I also want them to be I also want them to master the art of doing nothing and just act like a kid being in church. I wouldn't know about being in church because I've never been, but to give that example.
Yeah, the art of doing nothing. I talk about that all the time. I call it teaching your dog to be boring,
Mm-hmm.
because everyone wants their dog to do boring things and be cool around stuff, but nobody wants to teach their dog to be boring.
Right.
Um, and for those dog owners too, like obviously it's much easier for me. I have like 9 crates because I'm a dog trainer. That's like one thing. Um, and I did say that I prefer the kennels, which do seem to be more expensive, but for those puppy owners who might need a bigger crate because their dog is actively growing, um, or they might need more than one crate because some people need that option too. There's tons of crates in local Facebook groups. I've noticed because a lot of people do get crates for their puppies, and the puppy outgrows it, and they get rid of it. So a lot of people do resell them very quickly. So you can always check local Facebook groups, but there's also buy nothing groups. So I don't know if your clients are familiar with that too.
Mm.
But if you just type in buy nothing and then your town name, there tend to be a lot of local town groups where people are just looking to swap different items.
Mm.
So obviously my area might be a little bit more concentrated, but there's tons of those different things because I know not everyone can just go to the pet store and buy
Mm-hmm.
several new crates. Um, and then
Especially
there's
in how they're charged right now, it's just like
yeah,
everything's expensive, and
yeah.
um, I think also just educating people uh, or dog owners on appropriate crates because I'm sure you've seen clients that have bought like the soft crates, the fabric crates instead of like the wire or the airplane crates, and then all of a sudden, and then you say, "Oh, he chewed up. Oh, he broke out. How? Oh, he chewed. Oh, he chewed the fabric. Like he chewed the zipper off." And I'm just like, "Yep, that'll do it. He's got
Um,
teeth."
I don't see the soft crates too much, but I do see a lot of people that buy X pens.
Hmm.
And I think it totally depends on the person and the dog, but I don't do X pens. They just don't. It works for some people, but I feel like sometimes the dog is confused, or a lot of the time, a lot of people think that the X pen is okay, and the dog needs to learn how to be contained, like actually
Sure.
contained in a crate and not just in an open area.
Yeah,
Um,
sure. No, I totally agree. I totally agree. I honestly just like if the person, doesn't want to haul the crate from upstairs to downstairs and going back and forth like juggling that crate, I just tell them, you could just use the X Pen for when you're down in the living room.
mhm.
And I call it the fun box at that point. I'm like, "Hey, go in your fun box."
That's funny.
I got that term from like I think it's Very Odd Parents. It was just like there's this song. It was like, "Oh fun box, oh fun box." I was like, "Okay, that sounds good. Let's use that."
I could go see. I use a lot of tethers. I could go on. I could do a whole nother Facebook Live interview just on tethering dogs, other than the crate. Because I'm big on house manners. I've got
Hmm.
big, powerful, intimidating dogs, and I want them to be able to just chill. So I use a lot of crates and a lot of tethering, and it works out.
Yeah,
Promise.
sure. Yeah.
Promise.
Yeah, for those that are watching, like if you're a puppy owner, if you have questions about crate change, just feel free to leave a comment, we'd be happy to answer. Or, just you can always just message us privately, we'd be
I
happy to
can't. I
answer the
can't
question.
see who's watching or asking. So let me
I
know if
have
there is anybody, so I can
yeah,
shout them out if they're loyal. If you're
loyal.
not loyal, take a hike.
Oh, so mean. It's so funny.
I'll call them out.
I call them out.
I'll call them out.
All right, Alison. So, what do you do to help the dog transition or associate the puppies or dogs to crate training? Like I've kind of told you what I do. So, do you do anything different, or do you do similar things?
All my dogs are fed in their crates.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much almost all their meals, but because I have multiple dogs, yeah, they all rush into their crate to eat. So that's a very simple way for me to implement it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, too, in my puppy classes, sometimes I'll take an extra crate because I have a smaller one. upstairs in my office, and I just leave it out and open. Because my puppy classes are off leash, kind of sounds like your puppy socials, but letting the dogs just sniff and kind of investigate it, and not even ask them to go in there, but just seeing it, making it part of their normal routine, or putting it in the background, because the emphasis that I want is proper interaction and play. So sometimes just putting it in the background, for the puppies just makes it more of a familiar thing. Feeding them in there, I mean, I give my dogs super special marrow bones and treats in there. I'll put, if the dogs can handle it, and not like chew and destroy it, I'll put like an old dirty shirt that smells like me in there, especially if I'm trying to acclimate a new puppy. Toys, it depends. Once again, if the dog doesn't destroy anything, some puppies can handle having toys in their crates. If I'm actively playing and training with the dog, sometimes I'll leave the crate open and I'll play fetch and toss the toy right in there, so they're running in and out.
Ah, that's a good one. I didn't think
Yeah,
about that.
crate games. There's tons of crate games, like you mentioned before. There's tons of just little ways to implement it, and sometimes too, I'll just put the dog in the crate and I'll go change the laundry. Or I'll just put the dog in the crate for 30 seconds and leave the room just because.
Hmm.
Or I'll put the dog in the crate and I'll just go get the mail and come back and let the dog out of the crate. So if you let your dog predict a pattern, there's going to be one day when they're a teenager and they're going to be like, I don't want to, I see the pattern happening and I don't want to do that. So
Hmm.
I try to really mix it up sometimes. The dog can't predict where I'm going to put him in the crate. So it's
Hmm.
always just a thing that we do. Um, and I'll reinforce them for it still too, just to make it a good thing.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. What's another good question? Oh, how do you feel about bedding, like dog beds in the crates? What are your thoughts on that?
My dogs can handle it.
If your dog, if you're, so definitely like if your dog can't handle having the bed and then just ripping it up, just not have it in there, right?
Yeah, like don't give them the opportunity. If you keep giving the dog an opportunity to do so and it keeps bombing it, don't keep giving him that opportunity to do that.
Hmm.
But one of my Malinois doesn't gets hot in her crate, so she pushes whatever out. So I keep like a super thin, small towel, so that her elbows are not rubbing on the crate. And then my little guy has like a full blown bed because he's tiny
Hmm.
in there. And then the pit's the same thing. He likes to be comfortable too. So for
Hmm.
dogs who are hot all the time, my dogs actually usually really like blankets and whatnot. But my dogs, I really put an emphasis too on what they can chew, so they know what they shouldn't be chewing at the same time. Um,
Sure.
yeah,
So let's say, we get a, I've had, I've had the occasional client or two with a puppy that, just destroys bedding, and it was a sweet lab, and she would just tell me, "Oh, we give her the nicest memory foam beds," and then she destroys it. I'm like,
that's an expensive habit.
I was like, yeah, she's not ready for that yet. I was like, let's hold off for now.
Yeah,
But it's I definitely want to talk about just like some alternatives, like a towel or like something where it's just like, or just not having anything at the moment. Just like they're not ready when they're if they're not ready for it. Like after you discover the first time they destroyed a memory foam bed, I'm just like, okay.
so I actually learned something really, really new to me, at least, and I don't know if you're familiar with this, but I'm in a few different Facebook groups, and apparently, and this is also from Heather Beck, that a lot of dogs with separation anxiety, you can stuff their crate with straw. Have you done that?
I've heard of the straw method and I watched it. Shout outs to Mark
Mark
Goldberg,
Goldberg too.
Mark Goldberg and Heather. That was really cool. I have not yet implemented. I have suggested it to people, but people are just like, "Oh, straw is so messy," and then just like yada yada yada. I'm like, if it'll help your dog not have accidents or just have better time in the crate, you should try. But I don't doubt it, but I just haven't had a chance to implement it. But
Yeah,
I
same
but I do
same
like it.
here. Same here. I do like the idea of it. I think people in Boca Raton, Florida would be like, "What? You're absolutely crazy." But I do have really dedicated clients who'd probably give it a go too.
Right.
But for dogs who don't like their crates, or might have a tendency to have a little bit more separation anxiety, if you put straw in their crate, and I'm talking about like a lot of straw, you have to fill it up like halfway. Um, it allows your dog to den and kind of dig around and make themselves comfortable. The dogs typically do not eat the straw, but it can make them feel absolutely wonderful, and a lot of dogs truly enjoy it. I'm not sure what kind of straw, but I'm talking about like hay bale straw.
Hmm.
Um, and you can definitely get that, but that's a real thing.
Yeah, I think it's just a nice nesting material too. I mean, Mark has also talked about,
It's dry.
yeah, like it's dry, and then I think he's talked about like maybe newspaper shavings, but it's not as effective versus a straw. But also, guys, too, if you look it up, if you search for it, I think it's like honestly like $5 or $8 for the videos to just like they have like I
Wonderful
watched them.
resources.
Yeah, no, I watched it. It's like a less than 10-minute video. It was like showing a shepherd like peeing the crate, walking in there, and then yeah, he kind of drank, trying to lick this pee on the crate. I was like, ugh. But it showed they put the dog in the crate with the straw, and then no accidents, and then actually got to settle down. So it works. So if you want to check it out, I think it's only like $5 for you guys to just have it the whole time and just watch it. It'd be a good resource. And that's why Alison and I do this, is just to reach out and talk about topics like this, just so we can educate the public and pet owners, just to make things easier on you guys and your dogs. So um but that's why we like it. Plus I haven't talked to Alison because she's so busy, and I've been so busy too, so good
That's a
opportunity.
good thing though. But you get to interview a ton more people, and you've been interviewing some awesome people. And I really look forward to your other interviews as well. There's some
Yep.
wonderful information on there.
Thank you. I mean, it's like 3 down, 13 more to go. I think it's
Look at
like
you go. That's so great.
I think it's like the last time I did it was like 14 people. Now it's like 16 people. I'm like, all right. And I got Jay Jack this time to do an interview. I still have to schedule with him. I have Jamie Popper from Blue Nine Products that we're gonna do that too. So
That's
good people.
awesome.
So fun
I
stuff.
look forward to those.
I mean, if you want to go off on another tandem again, you just hit me up and be like, all right, let's get on.
I'll go
Let's
on
get
so
live.
many tangents. You're gonna have to limit me, but
I mean, you got an hour to on a tandem. It's like whatever topic you want. So it's kind of like, it's even if we both go on a tandem, people are like, oh wow, I didn't know about that, or just educational ranting. That's what I call it.
that's a good one.
Okay, let me see. Oh, Allison, what do you tell your puppy owners or dog parents when you get dogs that are screaming bloody murder in the crate? What do you do about that?
Well, it kind of like dogs who have not been in the crate
Hmm.
before. Well, we kind of have to build it up a little bit. Sometimes
Sure.
it's like really a temper tantrum.
Hmm.
Sometimes they really have to work through it. Sometimes they're overly stressed. So it
Hmm.
depends on the goal of the dog, but the real key is understanding why the dog is screaming.
Yeah.
Um, and that's my main goal too. So if every dog is different, um, but if your dog is screaming, they're definitely telling you something. Um,
Sure.
not sure how to answer that one depending
Um,
on the
let's
case
break
by
it down.
case.
Let's break it down. Maybe like we can just start with maybe like puppy tantrums, I guess, and then we can go up to like the other issues.
Hmm. Puppy
But
tantrums.
yeah.
Ignore it. Put your headphones in, sing a song. Um,
Sing your favorite song too, It can't just be, a random song. It should be your favorite song.
yeah, a lot of the times too, when puppies are crate training, they're learning what's working and what's not. And the whole point of crate training is to self-soothe too. So they need to learn how to work through self-soothing as well, and learn that calming behavior also gets them out of the crate.
Yeah.
As my dog demand barks to go outside.
The
So
big thing too is in nature, when a litter of puppy was cry, mom would always come. So it's just like they're so used to that thing from young. So now it's just like we're kind of have to shift it the opposite way for humans. Like, when you're calm, when you're quiet, that's when I come out. If you're noisy, then it's like have to do that reverse psychology thing, because just going back to, like, when babies cry, human babies cry, we're always like, oh, I'm so
It's
sorry, my
hard.
sweetheart.
It's so
It's
hard. It's hard to listen to puppies whine. It's not easy. Not
hmm
easy at all. So usually, a time I tell people to I do tell them to get earplugs.
yeah.
Put your headphones in. But there's also too, you have to be proactive about it. You can't just, a lot of it is letting the puppy scream it out, but that's not also the answer a lot of the time too.
hmm
So giving them lots of simple things to look forward to that are high value in there. Um, Tiring them out before you put them in there, making it part of their routine, um, covering it, making it comfortable for them, finding what they like in the crate. There's
hmm
a lot to be considered. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, my sister. This is like real life human uh, story. Like my sister
That's
with
how
her
we roll.
with with her with my niece, like Emma. She's like super Velcro child. Like it was kind of like Velcro puppy, but like when she put her in her room, she would just cry. And my sister like really hung in there. Like it was because
It's tough.
she knew that she just wanted to be with her and didn't want to sleep, but then she knew that she didn't need anything else, and she was just watching her on the camera.
Hmm.
But
I know
but my
nothing about raising a human.
neither do I, and
Nothing.
nor am
I'm
I
a
prepared
dog
for it.
pro. I know my territory.
That's where the significant other is gonna, like, future significant other is gonna be like, that's your part. I'm just handling the dogs, but my sister hold out for 2 hours, 2 hours of, or at least an hour and a half of like her screaming.
That's impressive.
Then she finally fall back asleep. After that one time, my niece Emma just slept, just self-soothed herself and wasn't too worried, because sometimes they just have to go through one, like a couple of tantrum, not all the time, but it's just they just need to know that it's okay to be just independent and not always like having to be right there. And even like I tell my puppy parents, have the crate next to your bed, like on the side. So sometimes I'll just put down my hand, and just like if they get a little restless, it's just like, hey, I'm still here, so they get that reassurance. But yeah, I mean, it's also too, just like the more often they're in the crate, the less fuss they make,
Yeah,
so
I think that's the biggest thing that pet owners struggle with is the whining. Like you said, in those
hmm
puppy temper tantrums where the dog starts to have a temper tantrum or is upset or frustrated that they're in the crate, and the puppy owners get worried or overwhelmed because it might be their first time doing it, and they're like, "Oh no, the dog hates it," and they let the dog out.
hmm
Just not knowing any better. So, like you said, more practice and letting them figure out that all that behavior doesn't exactly get them out of the crate, and figuring it out that it is a nice thing. It's almost like closing your blinds at night and getting back in your bed and just relaxing.
Oh, that sounds super nice. It kind of makes me want to just skip dinner and go straight to bed.
Right? That's how my dogs do it. Like right around 10:30, my dogs kind of wander in their crates. And it's funny because my little guy knows how to like open the door and close the door.
Oh, that's
To,
so funny.
it's very dramatic sometimes. But yeah, if his crate door is stuck, he'll work it open. He'll close it shut behind him. He
Yeah,
means business.
right. I mean, my Chihuahua, he's like, if his crate door isn't open, he'll quickly just pause his door, like, choo, 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 like, let me in. I need to eat my food. And it's like, just goes in. So like my Malinois and my Chihuahua are like the first dogs to go in their crates, because like as soon as I turn around, I'll hear them run up the stairs like, do do do, and I'm like, all right, my dogs win. Uh, but let's see. Yeah, I think most of it's like a lot of puppy tantrums when they first go in the crate. I guess I mean, if you know your dog well enough, and you know that your dog, like, so your puppy has to really go to the bathroom, or just something's up, I think we maybe, like, what do you feel about that? Like, if As if I know the dog's off routine and then needs to come up for some reason, and I know usually at that time they don't need to. I'm like, okay, let's see what's going on, and if you got if you got the runs, okay, let's go before you explode in your crate.
Are you talking about when the dog like whines because they might have to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, or yeah, just like emergency, like
That I
emergency
tell
straight to the bathroom.
Yeah, I mean that I tell people too. You're gonna have to like just learn your dog and kind of
Hmm.
learn their habits. So me, I absolutely hate being woken up. There's nothing more aversive to me in the entire world than being woken up. I'm dead serious. You can just don't wake me up.
Yeah.
I'll wake up on my own accord. So my dogs, they sleep through the entire night. I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night to let my dogs out. So that's kind of the first thing I work on, is seeing how long my dogs can hold it in the crate overnight. And then I know that, if my dogs sleep a full night, if they're whining in the morning, they probably have to go because they did sleep a whole night versus they're whining because they want to get out.
Hmm.
But I feel like that stage kind of happens a little bit later when the dog is learning the routine and just kind of testing to see what works and what doesn't.
Yep. Oh my God, I had I was so traumatized by what my dogs left in the crate. Like we went on like this creek trail, and the dog I was fostering or being a puppy parent at that time, and then my Belgian Malinois, they ate some stray cat poop, and I was just like, one, gross. But then I went out to go grocery shopping or something, and they were both in their crates. I come back, and they have just like explosive diarrhea in their crates, and I was just like, oh,
Oh,
oh. I guess I was so traumatized. It was like literally all over the place, and I'm just like, sorry, I wasn't there for you guys to let you out.
yeah.
It's like that kind of sucks to be you.
It happens. It happens sometimes. So, but the whole point of the crate too is to teach dogs to hold it, but obviously accidents happen.
Yeah, and I mean also too is like going back to what you said. They are animals, so it's like they're gonna make mistakes. You just
It's
gotta
what you
be.
signed up for, being a pet owner.
Hmm. I mean,
Uh,
people say, I mean, yes, it's somewhat easier than have compared to having a child, but it's still hard work, still responsibility,
Absolutely.
and it's just about like your dog's gonna make mistakes and accidents, and just expect it, rather than like I had this puppy and we had no accidents at all, and then just want that perfect clean slate kind of thing, which you could. Like some people do have that dog, but not everyone does. But
No,
don't worry about having the dog that your best friend or parents have the or focus on the dog that you have. That's the
train the
more
dog
important
in
one.
front of you.
Train the dog in front of you.
Hmm.
Okay, guys, that was a good hour-ish, or like a
Right
50
on the dot.
minutes.
Right on the
Anybody
dot.
anybody got questions? Hey, we do have this guy, Michael Field. He says
Teddy.
Jetty.
Jet's watching.
So anybody got questions, like anything? But otherwise, as we wrap up, I think I want to make a shout out to Alison and her business. And if you're down in her area, where you're at, where are you at,
Boca
Alison?
Raton, Florida.
Boca Raton, Florida. I still need to visit you, but if any of you guys are in that area, I have our website right here. Let me just make sure I spelled it right. Yep, I did.
You did.
It's
No, I
just free.
think South Florida will come visit puppies and wine country because that seems to be what you post. And that's not a bad gig.
It's just I drink wine. I drink wine to relax myself before I go for a week of the dogs, and I'm very particular with my wine, so I like my sweet wines.
Nice.
Um,
Nice. Otto,
like there,
shush.
like there's a castle. There's a winery in Calistoga, and it's a castle, like a real castle of a winery, and you can go drink there, like in the dungeons and all that, and it's like super cool. And that's the only like wine that I'm in love with. It's just like I'll drink bottles of that versus like the non-sweeter stuff. But
Oop,
but
hold on.
if you're ever
Lost 1 ear. I'm back.
if you're ever in town, if you're feel free. I would love to. It just gives me another excuse to go over there and buy like cases of wine.
Yeah.
My mom loves it too. I think my mom says she's like, I think it had little bit of sugar. So she may have gained a little weight from it, just a few calories, but it's fine. It's from it's
Careful, Kevin. It's right before Mother's Day. She might be watching.
she's fine.
Tread
She jokes.
carefully.
Yeah, I love you, mom.
Tread carefully.
It's all the mess. Just she knows it's tough love. So,
Oh my God.
but yeah, guys. So if
Well,
if
thank
anyone
you.
if anyone want to reach out to us, feel free to feel free to send us questions. We'll be happy to help you out. Or if you do need help with puppies or crate training, call us to work with your dog. Um, so Allison, you have any last minute questions for me since you wanted to interview me ever so slightly?
No, I think we covered quite a bit there. So I appreciate your time and wanting to chat about crate training. I think it's important.
Yeah, no, thank you for jumping in on this whole series. And it's always a joy talking with you.
You as well. We'll talk soon.
All right, guys. Everyone on Facebook, have a good rest of your weekend, and we'll expect the next chat next Sunday. We're gonna have one with Hannah Lore, so hope to see you guys there.
Oh, awesome. That one's going to be a good one.
Right. All right, Facebook. Peace out.
Take care.